news. Be there as it happens.
City News.
It's 17:30 GMT. This is Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. I am Umaru Sanda Amadou. Tonight, I'm here with
Hawa Idrisu Mustafa.
And coming up over the next 90 minutes.
In accordance with Standing Orders 59, adjourn the House indefinitely. That is sine die.
Speaker Alban Bagbin adjourns Parliament indefinitely on a day many people expected a showdown over the Supreme Court decision which froze his earlier decision on 4 members of Parliament. We'll be going back to the House of Parliament and speak to the MPs on what the next steps would be. Also, coming up, a group known as Coalition of Hygiene students today picketed in Accra over the omission of their names or the names of the Tamale School of Hygiene trainees for financial clearance. We'll be hearing exactly what their issues are. And later on Eyewitness News, the High Court discharges 7 members of the Democracy Hub protest group whose arrest a few weeks ago was a subject of controversy. Stay with 97.3 Citi FM for more on this and many other stories on Eyewitness News. And in business,
Rural banks demand speedy release of 500 million cedis from government.
That's in 50 minutes from the Citi Business Desk. Eyewitness News is live across Ghana on a number of affiliate stations. If you go to the Western region, we are live on Hygiene 100.7 FM in Takwa. We are also live on Beach FM 105.5 in Takoradi. In the Bono region, we are on Greener 95.9 FM in Sunyani. In the Ashanti region, we are on Focus 94.3 FM in Kumasi. We are also in Kumasi on Orange 107.9 FM. We are in the Volta region on Revival 99.3 FM in Tajevu, VOV Radio 95.7 in Hohoe. We are in the Northern region on Radio Bimbila 91.9 FM. In Upper East, we are on Quality 88.7 FM in Garu. And in Upper West, we are on Tongsong 97.3 FM in Wa, as well as 96.1 FM Jirapa. That's Jirapa FM. You can join us on YouTube and on Facebook. We are streaming live. You can send us messages on 0549 986 996. 0549 986 996. You can also send tweets using the hashtag Citi Newsroom or Eyewitness News. My handle is at Umaru Sanda or at Citi973, and the world will hear what your views are. This is Eyewitness News broadcasting from our studios in Accra. My name is Umaru Sanda Amadou here with Hawa Idrisu, who has our first story.
The Speaker of Parliament, Alban Bagbin, has adjourned parliamentary proceedings indefinitely. The Speaker noted that he had received a communication from the Supreme Court directing him to stay his earlier ruling that declared 4 parliamentary seats vacant. This decision follows days of confusion and dispute between members of Parliament from the NPP and that of the NDC over which of the caucus holds the majority. The Speaker also indicated that although they have the numbers to transact business, the House did not have the numbers to make decisions.
As you may recall, on Thursday, I informed the House, pursuant to Standing Order 18 of the Standing Orders of Parliament, on the occurrence of vacancies in the House in relation to 4 honorable members. Yesterday, I received a process from the Supreme Court, which is a ruling from the Supreme Court pursuant to an ex parte application directing Parliament to recognize and allow the 4 affected members of Parliament to duly represent their constituents and conduct full scope of duties of their offices as members of Parliament pending the final determination of a suit filed by Honorable Alexander Afenyo-Markin. By Article 102 of the Constitution, 1992, and Order 64.1 of the Standing Orders of Parliament, I note that we currently have a quorum to transact business, but not to take decisions. I want to read the said Article 102 of the Constitution. It reads, a quorum of Parliament, apart from the person presiding, shall be 1/3 of all the members of Parliament. As presently constituted, the numbers definitely is far above 1/3 of the members of Parliament. But by Article 104, the numbers are not sufficient for us to take decisions. And I'll quote Article 104. Article 104.1 says, except as otherwise provided in this Constitution, matters in Parliament shall be determined by the votes of the majority of members present and voting, with at least half of all the members of Parliament present. Honorable members, we don't have at least half of all the members of Parliament present. Consequently, in view of the current circumstances, the fact that there is a question on the composition and constitution of Parliament, and having regard to the public interest and the exigencies of the state of affairs in Parliament, I will proceed to, in accordance with Standing Orders 59, adjourn the House indefinitely. That is sine die. I want to quote Standing Orders 59.1. It says, the Speaker may, in consultation with leadership, suspend a meeting of the House indefinitely or for a period determined by the Speaker, having regard to the public interest and the exigencies of the state of affairs in the country. Honorable members, I have consulted leadership, and I am exercising my discretion to decide to suspend the meeting of the House indefinitely. The House is accordingly adjourned sine die.
You had the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Bakbin.
This is Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. When the Speaker was making this announcement, the NPP side in Parliament was not readily available in the chamber. This was because of a number of these things that happened earlier. Their leader, Honorable Alexander Afenyo-Markin, led them out into their offices in Job 600. And this was because the minority or the NDC side had occupied the seat that ordinarily belongs to members on the majority side, who are people who sit on the right-hand side of the Speaker. But I believe by now the MPs on the MPP side may have heard this. Their leader is Honorable Alexander Afenyo-Markin. He's joined us on the line. Sir, you're welcome to Eyewitness News.
Thank you, Omar, for having me.
Thank you. I was saying that you were not in the chamber when the Speaker made this announcement, but I'm sure by now it would have reached you. How do you react to the announcement by the Speaker to adjourn? And because he said he did that in consultation with leadership, it's fair to ask you, were you consulted by the Speaker? Did you agree to an adjournment? Is that what the procedure ought to be?
Well, first of all, I just want to get you to play the tape one more time. Did he really say in consultation with leadership? Before I answer that, I would want you to play that tape again. I don't think I got that in his language, but just for the avoidance of doubt, just play that again.
Very well. I can do that.
Yes.
So I can do that, but yes, let's listen to it together.
That said, sure. That said,
okay.
He respectfully invited us into his office.
Okay, but do you want me to play? Do you want me to play before you explain, or because?
No, I can explain, but if you want to play it.
So what he said, he quoted your standing orders and what circumstance he can adjourn, and he said he has consulted leadership and he's adjourning. That's what he said.
No,
but I can play for benefit.
I want to hear.
Okay, so let's just listen. Let's just hear him together.
And the exigencies of the state of affairs in Parliament, I will proceed to, in accordance with Standing Orders 59, adjourn the House indefinitely. That is sine die. I want to quote Standing Orders 59:1. It says, the Speaker may, in consultation with leadership, suspend a meeting of the House indefinitely or for a period determined by the Speaker, having regard to the public interest and the exigencies of the state of affairs in the country. Honorable members, I have consulted leadership and I am exercising my discretion to decide to suspend the meeting of the House indefinitely.
So, Honorable Afenyo-Markin, you've heard him there in his own words.
Okay, so let's appreciate language and let's go into language use. He said two things. First he said he's going ahead to adjourn the House. Then he quoted the standing orders which provides that before he does that, he must consult leadership. Consultation for concurrence, which he quoted. Now, subsequently he said he consulted leadership and he had decided on his own to proceed to adjourn the House. So he played it safe with his own language to make it difficult for anybody to fault him. So now, let me go ahead and tell you what happened at the pre-sitting meeting.
So before you do that, he has actually published his statement as he's read on his Facebook page, and it's a 6-paragraph statement. So it's the 5th paragraph that mentions a consultation, and he was emphatic. He says, "Honorable members, I have consulted leadership and I am exercising my discretion to suspend the meeting of the House indefinitely." This paragraph comes after the one that he quoted, the Standing Orders 59:1. So this is as emphatic as he can get, as though he has consulted leadership and now based on that he's proceeding.
Okay, so let me now recount what happened at the pre-sitting meeting. All right. So he invited us for a pre-sitting meeting and said that one, he is in receipt of the court ruling and that he was going to inform the House. 2, many people have visited his house as a result of what was going on and he wants to engage in further consultation. So he intends to adjourn the House immediately. I asked him, Mr. Speaker, on what basis would you adjourn the House immediately? What has happened? You've been served with a court process. Why would you want to adjourn the House immediately? He could not answer me. So I just want to respond to that aspect of his statement that he has consulted. The ordinary meaning of consultation would mean that, for me, with the greatest respect and in all modesty, is to the effect that you've engaged another party for his input to enable you arrive at this decision. What he did was to inform us that this is the decision he's taking. Two, the issue of the sitting on the right of Mr. Speaker, I drew his attention that our colleagues have taken our seat. He said that as for the sitting in Parliament, it is the responsibility of the clerk. So he is not responsible for the sitting in Parliament. It is the clerk. I subsequently consulted the clerk that, are you the one who changed our name tax? He said no. As far as he is concerned, we remain the majority. So our colleagues forcefully came to occupy our seat. At that point, when he was prevailing on the NDC side to go back to their seat, they were all loud on him. And what I realized, and with the greatest respect, Mr. Speaker has now, it's like when the NDC talks, then he takes a back step because he cannot take a decision. And I was not alone. He's looking at his body language as if in one breath he's sort of scared of somebody, he's not scared of somebody, and all. But let's put that aside. Dr. Atuforsen, when he realized that Speaker wanted them to go back to their seats, then came out to say that, and I'm quoting him, that Mr. Speaker made an announcement, and then based on his announcement, they have also taken our seats. And that until he makes that announcement, that the court ruling has overtaken his earlier decision, they will not move. And that was corroborated by Honorable Ahmed Ibrahim, the deputy whip, who also had the stand to speak, and he said, okay, they are there because Mr. Speaker announced that some people have vacated their seats and all. So my point was this, Mr. Speaker, be bold and tell them that what they are doing is wrong. He played around it, and I of course, yesterday, we had all indications from the NDC minority that today, Mr. Speaker will come and adjourn the House immediately. They were sharing this on their platforms. Some of the moderates among them who disagreed with the Hawks on their side were telling us that this is the plan. And it was a known fact. So I was not surprised when today they came with a plan. They choreographed it. But my joy is that Mr. Speaker could not run away from the authority of the court. That is my joy this day. All my happiness emanates from the fact that upon all the noise from the NDC and upon all the political conspiracy, they acknowledge the authority of the court. And for me, that is what we needed for the good of democracy. Now let's go back to what Mr. Speaker did on the House floor. As a result of his posture, I realized that he wasn't ready to boldly tell the NDC guys to go. So I said, look, we would walk out. I told him respectfully, Mr. Speaker, if they wouldn't want to move for you to read your speech, to read the court process to us, then we'll go and sit in our offices and wait for you. When you are done, and now you inform them that the court has vacated your orders, they will now move, because according to them, they will wait for that formal communication before they move. If they move, we'll come in. That's what I told him. Then he came to the floor. First was prayer, national anthem, and he quickly swerved roll call. He said he was varying the order of business. He varied the order of business and then read the formal communication, which is the ruling he has received from the Supreme Court. Instead of reading the details of the ruling and announcing to the House that he is yielding to the authority of the court, he rather read the suit, made reference to my application, and said the court has ruled, and suddenly jumped into a quorum. For me, that quorum issue he raised was completely unnecessary, irrelevant, immaterial to the issue before us. It was part of the scheme. Because If you want to talk about quorum, you must first do roll call. So he deliberately avoided the roll call, and you need to understand parliamentary procedure to know the tricks he was up to and the mischief. If you don't know parliamentary procedure, he will confuse you, and he succeeded in confusing many people, and now people are talking about quorum because he wanted to hold on to something. But Mr. Speaker knows that for those of us who pay attention to the procedure, the only way he could have raised quorum was to have done roll call. So he realized that when he came back, he could not even do the roll call. Then he jumped into correction of vote and proceedings to allow the NDC to do their mischief again, and then he proceeded to adjourn Citi. Anyway, that is the politics he's playing. We know that their game plan is aiding the NDC not to allow Parliament to operate, to enable government undertake major government business before we get into the election. That's their game plan. We knew about this. The moderates among them kept telling us, and it's exactly what they've done. It started before the opening of Parliament. During the recall, we had signals that they were not ready to do any government business, and that's exactly what they're doing. They don't want Parliament to function. You know what? God willing, tomorrow, the majority caucus will trigger a recall of Parliament. We will not allow Mr. Speaker to ambush us. And all these things that Mr. Speaker is doing, he as the elder statesman that we know him to be, should know that he's hurting democracy. We know him to be an NDC member. But to deliberately act in such a manner, thinking that you give political advantage to your party so that government business will stop and frustrate the economy, there's so much to be desired. But it's okay. We would use the law to get what we want. So we are going to recall Parliament, and then we'll see what he will do. Whether he would respect it to recall Parliament or not, we'll leave it to him. But there is no such controversy that should trigger adjournment Citi. You have made your ruling. A court has questioned your authority and ordered you to do A, B, C, D. All you need to do as a Democrat is authority of the court in full. Don't just acknowledge it and find another way to say, though, people have been consulting you and you think there should be some discussions, so you are adjourning Citi. As if you are the House. You are not Parliament. With the greatest respect and in all modesty, Mr. Speaker is not Parliament. Mr. Speaker is not Parliament. All this waste will come, like the recall. Government released 65 million to Parliament. When we did the recall, all outstanding goods and services, travel expenses, this, that, the government released 65 million cedis to Parliament. We came in, they frustrated as if, and sometimes the Speaker will be pretending as if he's on the side of the law, and then he would acquiesce with the NDC agenda, and we see it. We are not children. We are adults. We know, we can see with our eyes the game plan. Anytime we meet Mr. Speaker, we would have a final meeting with the NDC before he comes. But we've not been bothered. This whole drama, Harun Idrisu has filed a petition talking about the colleagues who are filed as independent candidates and all. Immediately Haruna filed his process. They said, oh, Haruna wants to favor the MPP. Haruna is in bed with us. So he filed it because that would call for a process. Because the Haruna application will require that a committee should be set up to look into it and bring a report. So suddenly, upon consultation, then after Dr. Forson comes in with a statement under Order 93, then a statement now metamorphoses into a motion, which results in a ruling for the first time in the history of this country that a speaker is ruling on a statement when Order 93.6 of our rules provides that when there's a statement and members make comment on these statements, depending on the gravity of it, Mr. Speaker will refer the entire statement and all the comments to a committee.
Okay.
And even propose possible legislation to that effect.
Honorable question.
Yes, please go ahead.
At the birth of this parliament, you had this whole issue about who sits where. I remember how you were forced to sit on the minority side. But when the dust settled, the speaker ruled that you are the majority and you took the seats that were rightfully yours. Why didn't you deploy the same tactics today? Come to the chamber, sit wherever you can sit, because based on my understanding, the sitting on the right or left is just an issue developed out of precedent and not necessarily a law in your rule books. If you sat on the left, you would have given the House a working number of people so that you could have conducted business. That way, you could have been on your feet and made the case to the speaker that ABC was wrong. But it appears your tactics, which was to stay away until the speaker made the determination for you to assume your seats, you lost in that particular tactics. And if you had come to the chamber, the adjournment we saw may not have happened.
I disagree with you, and I'll explain why I disagree with you. He, as the presiding officer, had the authority to correct the wrong. But he was filled with some fear because he was in cahoots with them. I have my rightful place. You are speaker. At pre-sitting, I tell you that these gentlemen are sitting on my seat. You are saying that, oh, when it comes to sitting in the chamber, it's administrative, it's the clerk's responsibility. When you now make effort to talk to them, they start raising their voice, and then you hold back. I don't think it's a fair, a balanced speaker who would want to give a fair ruling for both sides. Two, how do I come and sit on the left of Mr. Speaker? Because it is a mere practice. No. In Parliament, the majority sits on the right and the minority sits on the left. That is Parliament. So I will not sit on his left. When my colleague, if you followed, I don't know whether your cameras captured it, they pulled, Dr. Forson pulled, his people pulled his seat, his table or his desk, whatever, to my side, and then pushed mine back. Who does this? And this is what I expected him to have condemned it, because when we were with him, he said he was watching. He said he was watching everything that was happening in the chamber. So it means he saw everything live. But because they are NDCs and he's aware of the plan, he decides to hold back. You expect me to have a confrontation? No, I won't do that.
Very well. Moving forward, we are receiving information that two of your MPs who had decided to contest as independent MPs, for which reason we've gotten to where we have gotten to, have rescinded that decision to go independent. How much information do you have, and which one can you share with us, please, on this subject?
Well, there's no public statement from my colleagues. We have been engaging, not today. Today, they came to Parliament. They were ready to enter the chamber because, Mr. Speaker, because the Supreme Court has made a pronouncement. Because of the unfortunate incident, they didn't get opportunity to enter the chamber. We had a caucus meeting, and they were present at the caucus meeting. And after the caucus meeting, they visited me in my office, and we had very fruitful discussion. That is what I can say.
We saw nice photos of you and Honorable Kennedy Pong with Cynthia Morrison. Many are reporting that is to mean that she has decided not to go independent again. I was asking if you can confirm that for us.
I am saying that these colleagues who are members of the majority caucus were with me. We had very fruitful discussions.
Have they decided that they will not run as independent MPs again?
I repeat.
Have they told you that they will not run as independent MPs?
These colleagues.
Honorable, I've heard you. Can you answer my question?
these colleagues were in Parliament.
Honorable Efutu, member
These
of
colleagues
Parliament.
visited me in the office.
Leader.
We had very fruitful discussion.
Leader, why are you repeating yourself? You're being like a bad cassette. It means you will not give me a confirmation.
I mean, we've had a very fruitful discussion as colleagues.
So let's end it here. Thank you so much.
Very well. Very well.
That's Honorable Alexander Afenyo-Markin there. Let me speak to Honorable Mahama Ayariga, his Boku Central MP. Honorable, you're welcome to Eyewitness News. You've heard the statement that has been made by your leader, Honorable Alex Afenyo-Markin there, about what transpired at the pre-sitting meeting with the Speaker. He is concerned that the Speaker appears not to be doing the work that he ought to do because he's trying to favor your side, the NDC. What do you make of that statement based on everything he has reported to us? And also, what happened today? Was it necessary?
Well, good evening to you and listeners out there. As for what the minority leader has just said,
the majority leader.
He's the minority leader. He is not a majority leader. I have told you that the NDC is the majority now in the Parliament, and Atufosun is the majority leader. And
you are a lawyer. If a judge stays,
the Speaker has not communicated to us. I'm not sure you're talking to me in my capacity as a lawyer. You're talking to me as
I wanted free legal education from you.
Of the NDC. And I've educated you, but it looks like you are refusing to be educated.
No.
I have, for the past 4 days, been on your station telling you what my view of the law is and insisting that until the Speaker comes to the chamber and then communicates to us otherwise,
okay,
we remain the majority.
No problem.
You probably are part of a team that just do not want to believe in what we are telling you. Otherwise, I've said this so many times. So many people have called me to say, they appreciate my position, but seems you don't want to appreciate it. So I'm not in a position to convince a person who is not interested in being convinced.
Very well. Please proceed.
We say that we are the majority caucus, and Afenyo-Markin is a minority leader. If you are talking about him as a leader, as a minority leader, I can continue with the conversation.
No problem. We are not going to split heads over this.
Also, what he said about Speaker, I was not in the meeting, so I cannot speak to the allegations that he's made in relation to the Speaker. What I can speak to is what happened publicly, which is that Afenyo-Markin's caucus refused to attend Parliament, refused to sit in the chamber, refused to conduct government business. The NDC caucus, we were in the chamber, were ready to conduct business if they had business for us to conduct. We just insisted that on the basis of what happened on Thursday, we, the majority caucus, and by the traditions of the House, the majority caucus sits on the right side of the Speaker, and so we took our seat. He is telling you that he went and litigated the matter before the Speaker and unsuccessfully. Speaker referred him to his clerk, whatever it is, I don't know. I was not in the meeting. But the point is that really, he can run to the Supreme Court, and yet he cannot stand on the floor of the House and argue his case. He could have stood in the chamber and argued his case about why he should be sitting on the right-hand side of the Speaker. And many of the businesses that were listed could have been conducted whether or not they are a majority or a minority caucus, because a lot of them just involve laying papers and etc., and then initiating the businesses without really a decision being taken in relation to those businesses. So, and Speaker said that we had quorum to do business. We just didn't have a quorum to take a decision on anything. So, if they wanted to push government business, they would have done so. All the talk about how much money has been released to Parliament, I haven't been given a dime by anybody for this recall. So I don't know how much money has been released to Parliament. But the point I'm making is that you had every opportunity to conduct those businesses. It's a question of decision. We could have conducted business without taking a specific decision today. But you refuse to participate, you went and said that you will not participate unless you are sitting on the right-hand side. It means that your ego and where you sit is your priority and not the conduct of government business, because government business could have been conducted today by our rules.
Now that you have adjourned indefinitely, he says they're going to trigger the recall clause, which means you may be back in 7 days or maybe 10 days if the speaker receives and takes action. And of course, he has to take action because there's precedent to that. It means you would have wasted our time as a nation. When you had time to work, you have gone back to your homes.
Who would have wasted your time?
When I say you, MPs, instead of staying to work, you are going home.
That's what democracy is all about. There are rules and there are processes, and so the processes are just being triggered. It's unfortunate that we've all left our campaigns. You know that the election is not far away from now, and MPs really have had to spread themselves, leaving what they are doing, trying to retain their seats to be here. In fact, the real reason why Afenyo-Markin could not do anything was because he didn't even have his members. They were not there. You saw the number that he brought into the chamber. They were not even up to 30. So he couldn't have even marshaled his people to conduct business because they themselves know that he doesn't have a case. They set the precedent with Michael Quay. So many of them are actually in their constituencies campaigning because they can't be bothered by all these things that are happening where it is obvious that it is Afenyo-Markin who is struggling to maintain his post as a former majority leader, not because his caucus really supports what is happening. Look at us. We are in the opposition. We are not responsible for conducting government business, but we came in our numbers, ready to assist them conduct government business. But he came and he was more interested in preserving his post as, a former majority leader. So if you say that, we have wasted public resources, no. We're in the chamber, ready to do business. He's the one who ran away from his own business. So who's the one who's wasting public resources? You could have done it today, you didn't do it. Now you're saying that 70-something million Ghana cedis was sent to Parliament, and then you're going to trigger another recall. As for us, anytime Speaker calls us, we'll come. If Speaker calls us and tells us that we are no longer the majority, we'll listen to Speaker. But Speaker hasn't said so. And so we retain our position as the majority caucus.
Very well. Thank you so much for speaking to us. As Mahama Ayariga, Boku Central Member of Parliament. This is Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM.
Be there as it happens.
Hi Aku, I just got the estimate for the home repairs. It's more than we expected. I'm really stressed about where to find the money.
Why worry, Musa? You are a salaried worker. Haven't you heard about the GCB personal loan promo? They can give you up to 700,000 Ghana cedis in less than 24 hours at a significantly reduced interest rate and fees.
Really? This sounds exciting, but is it easy to apply?
Super easy. Skip the stress. Get the cash with the GCB personal loan promo with a 1-month repayment holiday. Just visit a GCB bank branch near you or call 0302-634-922. Toll free 0800-422-422. No hassle, no stress.
Wow, I just got a notification. The loan is already in my account. That was fast.
Skip the stress and get the cash you need with GCB personal loan. Visit a branch near you today. Terms and conditions apply. GCB Bank, your bank for life.
Oh, jump on now. Go. Gugomi, at what time will you come back where I don't hear the sound of your car? Why you buy new car?
No, I don't change my car. It be the same right. It be the fuel way I change. Way one shouts it. Ever since I started using the all-new Excellium Premium Fuel, fortified with 3-in-1 action. Oh, Joe, now my car they run like electric car. No, it's so.
This is the type of fuel where they want to. Cause now engine they cost. Where they want for way if I buy it, it go protect my engine. And with the small way.
0973 with the hashtag Eyewitness News.
You're welcome back. Now, 7 of the Democracy Hub protesters have been discharged by the state. This is after 19 of them appeared in court following their release from custody. Announcing the decision to discontinue the trial against the 7, state attorneys noted that they have filed second batches of disclosures and will, by the next adjourned date, submit witness statement to the court. The 7 discharged are Kinsley Ediedu, Seth Kofi, Gloria Louis, Nikwe Hammond, Manuel Baini, Joseph Dosese, and Ernest Echampon. The case has since been adjourned to November 21, 2024. Meanwhile, a lawyer for the discharged protesters, Nicholas Nomeshi, says the state took the right decision as his clients are innocent.
The state dropped the charges against those 7 clients, and as we always maintained, my clients were innocent of the charges leveled against them. And so we are happy that the state took that decision to discontinue the case.
Are you of the assurance that the state says it doesn't have evidence, or is not one of those that will later re-arrest your client?
From the position of the state, I doubt if they will be re-arrested. If not, they would have done that immediately they came out of court. And as lawyers, my objective or our objective is to ensure our clients have liberty. And that has been evidenced today, and we are most grateful to the court.
What was the reaction from your clients, and what have they told you, considering the decision of the state?
I mean, you should see how excited they were. I mean, these are people, or innocent people, who were put behind bars for a couple of days, and then finally the state has decided to drop charges against them. It should be a moment of joy for them and their family and their loved ones.
Do you have any more clients as part of the remaining protesters?
Yes, there are some clients that the state has not dropped charges against them, and we will also continue with them and ensure that their liberty is also granted.
Nicholas Nomashi is lawyer for the 7 discharged Democracy Hub protesters. The coalition of Hygiene students today picketed in Accra over the omission of names of the Tamale School of Hygiene trainees from financial clearance issued for their allowances. The coalition comprising of all trainees in various schools of hygiene across the country, including national service personnel, says several efforts by leadership to engage the government over the omission has proven futile, hence the decision to picket today. Speaking to Citi News, National General Secretary of the coalition, Emmanuel Eoko, says they intend to sleep at the premises of the Health Ministry until their demands are met.
Number one, we are focusing on the omission of names of Tamale School of Hygiene from the financial clearance hologram. Because when the clearance came for the state, you see that the national service, we have people who are being paid by the national service scheme and people who are being paid by Ministry of Health. So when the clearance came for them to pay the health trainees, they omitted Tamale School of Hygiene from the financial clearance hologram. For that matter, we have made several follow-ups. Leadership of the coalition has made several follow-ups on that very issue. And still nothing has been done on it. And that is number one reason why we are picketing. 9 o'clock, we are starting right now. Currently, we are at the College of Physicians and Surgeons. So we shall move through Ridge Runabout. Yes, we shall move from the College of Physicians and Surgeons through Ridge Runabout before going to the ministry. What we are hoping is that with or without our names in the hologram, we want the ministry to allow us to fill our IDPD forms at the ministry before we leave there. If they don't allow us to fill the IDPD forms, we are not leaving.
National General Secretary of the Coalition of Hygiene Students, Emmanuel Eoko. Flag bearer of the governing New Patriotic Party, Dr. Muhammadu Bawumia, says the people of Adaklu are better off with the NPP in government than with opposition NDC. He made this comment during his 3-day tour of the voter region. Dr. Bawumia, campaigning in the constituency, noted that the NPP government has invested in more infrastructure in Adaklu, including a youth resource center, roads, and a magistrate court, among others.
We have built a youth resource center, a stadium here in Adaklu. We have brought a district police command here to Adaklu in Waya. We have built a magistrate court, just as we've done in every district. We've built a magistrate court with a bungalow. We are building an Agenda 111 hospital right here in Adaku. So this tells you our philosophy in economic development. The roads, when the NDC was in government for 16 years, they didn't build a road for you. But we are making a lot of effort in many areas. So we believe that Adaku will do better under the NPP and under Dr. Bawumia, because we have shown what we can do.
That was the NPP flag bearer, Dr. Mahama Bawumia.
This Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. We are coming to you from our studios in Accra. My name is Umaru Sandamadu here with Hawa Idrisu. Up next, we'll bring you business news. And then on Point Blank, my guest is Professor Titus Bayu. He is the NDC parliamentary candidate for Lambusie in the Upper West region. We'll be talking to him about, one, his plans to represent the people of Lambusie. Also, briefly talk about organized labor. Recall he was a member of the Ghana Medical Association as an executive. Please stay tuned in for Point Blank on that particular conversation.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
Hey, is that cool? Hey, you've grown into a big boy, oh!
market movement, and all the policies that affect your business. City Business News. Be informed.
Time now for City Business News on Eyewitness News. My name is Hawa Idrisu Mustafa. Details of our stories now. The National Association of Rural Banks is mounting pressure on government, demanding the immediate release of 500 million cedis locked up fund to rural and community banks. This comes at a time when customers of defunct fund management firms have started receiving over 700 million cedis from GCB Capital. This amount represents the first tranche of 1.5 billion cedis allocation as outlined in the 2024 Media Budget Review. President of the National Association of Rural Banks, Eric Danin, speaking during the 23rd Annual Conference of CEOs of Rural and Community Banks, demanded the immediate release of the funds to improve the financial health of rural and commercial banks.
We are surprised to learn that the GCB Capital had initiated the disbursement of about 1.70 billion cedis as part of the outstanding locked-up capital to individuals impacted by the financial sector cleanup. This would have been a very great news were it not for the absence of any reference to the RCBs in the repayment agreement of agenda. We find it a bit excrucial and therefore call on government to reconsider this at this crucial moment. This is particularly concerning given that the association has submitted multiple representations regarding the total overdue locked months, which currently amount to around 500 million Ghana cedis. The disbursement of these funds can substantially influence the functioning of the 147 RCBs by enhancing our balance sheets. Today, I have two appeals for the Ministry of Finance and the Bank of Ghana. First, I urge both entities to prioritize the inclusion of RCBs in the repayment agreement to ensure that they receive their fair share of the lock-up funds of capital. Additionally, I request for a clear timeline for the disbursement of funds to provide the much-needed relief to these RCBs, particularly the struggling ones.
Eric Danin is the president of the National Association of Rural Banks. The industrial producer price inflation rate decreased to 44.3% in September from 44.6% in August. This indicates that the average change in prices received by domestic producers in the industrial sector fell by 0.3% between August and September 2024. My colleague Daniel Oduro-Mensah provides an analysis of the industrial producer price for September.
According to data from the Ghana Statistical Service, producer price inflation showed a varied decline in September compared to August 2024 across the mining and quarrying, manufacturing, electricity and gas subsectors. The mining and quarrying subsector recorded the highest decline, falling to 48.7% in September from 54.2% in August. The manufacturing subsector also decreased to 21.8% from 22.9%. Additionally, the electricity and gas subsector experienced a decline, recording 10.4% in September, down from 12.4% in August. In contrast, the water supply, sewerage, and waste management subsectors saw a slight increase, rising from 3.8% in August to 4% in September.
That was a business desk report filed by Daniel Oduro-Mensah. The Institute of Economic Affairs, IEA, is advocating for significant constitutional amendment to safeguard the nation's natural resources. The proposals come in response to the reported $1 billion sale of the Newmont Achim gold mine to China's Shenzhen Mining Group, a deal IEA describes as flawed. In the press release, IEA, among others, called for the amendment of Article 2576 of the Constitution, which currently vests Ghana's natural resources in the President. Here are excerpts of the statement from the IEA.
The IEA wants to emphasize that Achim gold mine lease itself was flawed at its inception in several respects. In particular, the royalties and taxes payable by Newmont were not appropriately quantified as expected of such agreement. The IEA wishes to state categorically that the purported sale by Newmont of the Achim gold mine to Shenzhen is unjustified and legally flawed and must therefore not be ratified by Parliament. The IEA makes two fundamental governmental proposals to help introduce sanity into the governance of Ghana's natural resources and to reduce corruption. The first is to amend Article 257, Section 6 of the Constitution that vests Ghana's natural resources in the President on behalf and in trust for the people, which seems to give him a carte blanche to sign the resources away at will. The natural resources should rather be vested in the state, and every contract should require parliamentary ratification as per Article 268, Section 1 of the Constitution. The second is to introduce the Constitution or the Minerals and Mining Act 2016 Act 703, a provision that prohibits government from signing contracts above a specified monetary value 6 months to the end of their 4-year term. This will help prevent incumbent administration from signing 11th hour contracts in favor of their families, friends or cohort, or for personal gain.
Those were excerpts of a statement by the IEA read to you by my colleague Emmanuel Opon. Energy sector stakeholders are calling for a swift resolution to the concerns raised by the Ghana National Tanker Drivers Union regarding the Ghana Police Service. This comes after allegations that the police dispatch riders throw stones at the union members' vehicles through their windscreens when they fail to move out of the way during convoy passages. The Executive Director of the Center for Environmental Management and Sustainable Development, Benjamin Insia, emphasized the need for an investigation into the matter.
The police, led by the IGP, must investigate this matter, know the particular police person involved, and then that person be brought to book, because if tanker drivers do not get the justice they need, it will be like they've been disrespected, even though they are a part of the growth of this particular country. Without BRV drivers, who are mainly drivers or distributors of petroleum products for the country, which is the engine of growth of Ghana. Without them, this country will not grow. So we must respect ourselves and know that we are stakeholders who are for the development of Ghana. But if one feels that, in this case, the police feels that they are higher than these drivers or they have a higher rank compared to these drivers, it's going to lead to a situation where certain conflict might arise. And if that happens, it will not be good for all of us.
Benjamin Insia is the Executive Director for the Center for Environmental and Sustainable Energy. And that's it for City Business News on Eyewitness News. My name is Hawa Idrisu Mustafa. Up next is Point Blank.
This is Point Blank on Eyewitness News. Point Blank is brought to you by Kivo Pepe Moko Shio. On Point Blank tonight, we are doing parliamentary elections. My guest is the NDC parliamentary candidate for Lambusie in the Upper West region. He is a medical doctor, a professor in Ops and Gynae, a former trade unionist. I don't think he's still doing that. Professor Titus Bayu, you're welcome to Point Blank.
Thank you, Umaru, and thank you for having me.
How are you doing?
I'm good.
I see.
I'm good, yeah.
I think there's a middle name in your name. What does that
It's
stand for?
Kofi.
Kofi?
Yes.
As in the Kofi that we know in the
Yes,
south?
yes.
How are you from Lambusie and you are called Kofi?
That's the interesting thing.
Is that a Friday name or?
Oh, coincidentally, mine is not a Friday name, but I don't know how it happened, but most of my siblings have these middle names. And I think some of our relatives, my uncles and the others, worked in the mines in Konongo. So I think that's where it may be coming from.
So your dad gave you Kofi, so you are Titus Kofi?
Yes, Titus Kofi Bayu. Yes.
And it's not as if you are a Friday born?
No.
So how are you keeping? What ethnic group are you?
I'm Dagari.
So on Friday, Dagaris, how do you name your children?
So Dagaris don't name our children by day of the week.
Okay.
Yeah, so we name our children based on circumstances.
So Kofi, Kofi, that's your name?
That's it.
Do you speak Twi?
Very well.
Okay. So you also lived in the mining areas?
No, I didn't. But at the time I was born, most of everybody was home.
Where is Lambusie, for those who may not know the map of Ghana very well?
Okay, Lambusie is...
It used to be Lambusie Kani Isa.
Lambusie Kani.
Okay.
Lambusie.
Isa is with Dafiama.
Dafiama, yes. It used to be Lambusie Kani.
So what happened? Is it that it's been changed, the name has changed, or it's been split? What happened?
No, it's changed. The name changed. I think there was some court proceedings that resulted in the change of the name.
So it's only Lambusie.
It's
now.
not Lambusie.
No more Lambusie Kani.
No.
For the district.
For the district.
And the constituency is also that.
Just that.
Where is it located?
So Lambusie is located to the northern part of the Upper West region. It borders Burkina Faso to the north. To the west, it borders Sisala East.
West.
Sisala
West. Golu. So that would be Sisala West.
No, Sisala.
Right? Are you sure?
Sisala East is closest. Oh, Sisala West. Sisala West.
I know
Sisala
my
West.
I know my geography.
And then
with capital as Golu.
Yes. And then to the south is Jurapa and Nandom. These are.
So what are the major towns in Lambusie?
Of course, our district capital is called Lambusie itself, and then the commercial town, there is the border town Hamile.
So Hamile is in your...
Hamile is in Lambusie, yes.
The Hamile that all the big trucks use to cross into Burkina Faso.
Exactly.
Okay.
So that's within Lambusie. Then we have towns like Pina. We have towns like Kani, which is also part of the streets. Then we have some more, and then Koro. These are some major areas.
You are also bordered by Cote d'Ivoire?
Very little bit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because Nandom stretches up.
Okay.
So they cover that part of it. Laura and Nandom border Cote d'Ivoire more
I
than
see.
us. Yeah.
So you are the topmost part of the map on the left.
Exactly.
Oh, okay, I see.
Exactly.
Before I ask you why you decided to do politics, the organized labor said they were going to go on a strike.
Yes.
To force government to fix our environment. Last minute they pulled out. You have been a union executive before. There are many people who are thinking, oh, they went to collect something and that's why they decided to stop this thing. There are also people who say they betrayed the trust of the public. There are also people who are saying that no, they should not grind the country to a halt. As someone who once led a union, watching all of this unfold, what do you make of it?
So it's a very, very, very difficult time for the union. And I say so because if you look at the architecture of the union in Ghana, this is happening, and we need to know the context. It's happening just a few weeks after we had a new TU Secretary General, the Deputy Secretary General,
Chairman.
Brother Joshua Ansa, now becomes TUC Chairman within just a short period, and then he has to deal with this crisis before him. And as politicians would do, they always make attempts to break the front of the union by whatever means possible. And it was a very difficult time for them. I don't wish that I was in their position. But you know, I felt sad. If you ask me what's my impression of it, I felt very, very sad at it, because I feel that the state in which Ghana is, perhaps the only voice that the rest of the nation relied on was labor. And if you ask me, was the call justified? Yes. As a medical doctor, I'll be the first to speak about the consequences of this illegal mining and the pollution of our water bodies and all of that.
So your association withdrew?
It's very surprisingly. Very surprisingly. And you notice that some people kick-started some activities seeking to impeach the president. We will know the full verdict when they have our annual general conference, which is coming up in just about 2-3 weeks. So it was a shocking turn and a very disappointing turn. I don't think anybody in the union wanted this country to come to a halt. But there was that general belief that if the union stood together, then they would force government to do what is right. No one even declares strike with the actual intention on going on strike.
It's a threat.
It's a threat, so that it pushes someone
to act.
And you know how the union did it with the Snit Hotel saga. So we're expecting something like that. And the turn that this thing took, I mean, in my quiet reflections, I said this galamsey must be a very, very, very difficult thing. I think some of our former presidents said it was very difficult to fight corruption. Perhaps the galamsey is even more difficult, because for the unions not to be able to stand together at it,
something must be happening somewhere. Do you suspect politics? Could politics be behind this? Could people have been threatened? Could there have been overtures? Could there have been offers made?
Well, everything is possible, but I would say that I don't know too much about the other unions, but the way I know about the Medical Association, of which I was the general secretary, if you follow our due process, it's very difficult for a politician to influence the union. You get it? I mean, the Medical Association, I can speak for that for a fact. And so you realize that what happened with the Medical Association, it didn't follow our due process. Because I heard that the president said he was calling individuals one-on-one to take their views. That is not, that is irregular in how we take our decisions.
Let's move away from, let's talk about you. Why do you decide to do politics?
Well, that's a big one. But I think that life is all about making an impact in people's lives. And it is that same passion that drove me into medicine, to see what can I do for the people. And at some point, I felt that, yes, you can make that impact to a larger extent when you are in some kind of positions. You see, your sphere of influence and how much you can do is limited based on what kind of background you have and what kind of influence you have. And in particular in Lambuse, I have been doing a lot of philanthropic work in Lambuse since 2012, 2015, 2017. I'm the first doctor to do any open surgery in Lambuse. We never had surgeries in the soil of Lambuse. At the time I started my medical interventions in Lambuse, Lambuse had just one doctor and no capacity to do surgeries. So I was doing all these there. Then I realized that there are some critical things you get to and you don't have what it takes to go beyond that level. So I could only go and do surgeries at a place and leave. Then what happens behind? I tried to lobby more doctors to go to Lambuse when I was general secretary of the GMA and as a lecturer in the medical school. I got a few younger colleagues. Some agreed to go, and they get there and they face some serious resistance that I think that the political class had the ability to influence, but it wasn't working. So many of those things made me realize that, look, okay, I can continue this forever. One day I'll be tired, I'll retire, and then that'll be it. And then we'll still be back to where we are, because this is a district that is so underdeveloped. So I'm like, okay, I decided to do a diagnosis of the district. And I realized that they lacked proper advocacy. You see, you were trying to identify where this district is located. When you are asked on the spot who is our member of parliament, you struggle to know it. If you ask one thing that is known in that district, many people struggle. You mention your name and people even ask where is Lambuse. So I realized that the number one thing Lambuse lacked was advocacy. And I realized that, okay, look, people have this opportunity and perhaps they are not able to use it much to the benefit of the people. So, well,
so you decided that if you want the food to taste in a certain way, you enter the kitchen.
You have to put your
and you jump in with
hands,
your apron.
You have to put your hands to the wheel.
So you campaigned for the NDC to make you their candidate. They've made you that. Now, what is your campaign to the constituents? What are the 5 things that you think Lambusia is lacking that Professor Bayo and the NDC would fix? And mind you, the Upper West region as a region was created by the NDC. So these challenges that you're talking about, there was supposed to be a bridgement of the gap. That's why Upper West was created out of Upper East in the first place by the PNDC. And yet Upper West is still very, very rural, very underdeveloped. What new things will you introduce in your constituency in particular to make sure that there's development there as an MP? What can you do? Even though I know that will not be your core mandate as an MP.
Yeah, all right. So I would say that Lambuse, as I mentioned, is very deprived. I have some thematic areas that I hope to work on. The first thing I talked about is that in my vision for the district is that the district needs a minimum of a 5-year development plan. We don't have a codified document called a development plan or agenda for Lambuse. I've engaged the chiefs, I've engaged everybody and realized that we are lacking that. So one of the promises I've made to the traditional council and others is that if by God's grace I am elected, within the first 6 months we'll convene a stakeholder conference of sons of Lambuse, subject experts to come together so that we'll decide for ourselves what our blueprint for development is. This is on the background that Lambuse remains the only district, maybe perhaps the only one, I don't know of any. We don't have a radio station in the whole district.
But that one is private, you can build one.
We don't have an inch of tarred road.
Are you serious?
I'm telling you.
So the whole district has dusty graveled path.
I'm telling you. The only one that now we see was a transnational road going to Hamley. But from our district capital to any other part of the district, there's none.
So if I went in front of the Lambuse District Assembly, the road leading me
terrible.
There is not a
it's
road.
terrible.
No bitumen.
None.
Not to talk about asphalt.
None.
Do you have running water? As in Ghana Water Company water?
No. So we have small town water systems that have been created in some of the communities during the SWA NDC administration.
So community water networks? Is it boreholes or what
mainly boreholes.
Boreholes. So they pump into the communities.
Yes. So but that is just in a few of the communities. You can find that in Lambuse, the district capital, to some section of it. The rest of the sections have to rely on boreholes, and we've been repairing these boreholes over and over. You can find that system a bit in Pina and a lot of the other places. There's none.
Interesting. What about electricity?
So electricity, the elsewhere NDC administration increased our electricity coverage significantly, and we were on the verge of almost extending electricity to almost every community in Lambuse. We did the wiring and all of that, then we lost power. And since then, not one additional village has been added to the national grid in 8 years of NPP. Not one.
But you have an MP?
Yes.
You have a DCE?
We do.
They have not done anything?
Nothing. And so the reason why I buy into the vision of His Excellency that he wants to see, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, that in his next 4 years, he wants to try to achieve 100% electrification of the country, to light up the communities, because it brings a lot of transformation. So these are some of the challenges in Lambuse.
What about schools?
Schools, Lambuse has 3 secondary schools.
Okay.
And that's all. We have no, and it's one of my passions.
3 secondary schools, that's a lot. How big is what's the population?
It's 51,000 people. 3 secondary schools. One was His Excellency giving us an E-block. The other was owned by the church. So
you have a Catholic secondary school?
Yeah, but it's been adopted into the regular system.
Which one is that?
At Hamley.
Okay.
And then there is a Pina secondary school.
So those 3 secondary, and
3
then
secondary.
You have basic schools.
We have basic schools, but the performance is poor. At some point, there was reports that we had one of the BEC times we had a 6% pass.
6%.
I'm telling you, Umaru. So one of my passions going back to Lambuse was that. I schooled in Lambuse. I schooled in my village called Kucha. I'm wondering if someone's schooling there today, what is the probability that a person ever becomes someone like me? If for every 100 students you present, 6 will pass, then what's going to happen?
What is your highest health infrastructure in the district?
That's even worse.
Do you have a district hospital?
We have a polyclinic, not a district hospital. So
polyclinic is above district hospital?
No, it's below.
It's below. Okay.
We have a polyclinic in the district capital. And when I went to do my first surgical outreach there, very ambitious. I carried colleague doctors from here.
You were happy?
I was happy. And when I got there, I had not assessed the situation very well. I was just relying on information from the doctor there. I went there. I have a private practice, so we took equipment from here, took some from the region, and we got there. First 3 patients after the surgery, no more beds, so we couldn't operate again.
You had only 3 beds.
4 beds were available to us. 1 was in use. We operated 3 people, and we had lined up more than 15 people.
Which year was this?
This was around 2017. Yeah.
So currently you still have a polyclinic?
We still have a polyclinic.
What
So subsequently I supplied beds to that polyclinic.
Okay.
And then to the health center in Hamley, and distributed a few beds to other facilities around.
Where is this polyclinic located?
In the district capital.
So it's in
Lambussi. Yeah.
And do you have CHIPS compounds and other?
Yeah, we have CHIPS
hospitals
compounds.
around?
No, we have CHIPS compounds around, and then health centers.
Health centers.
Yeah.
So, of course, you would need health centers in your area.
Yeah.
When you come to Parliament, you may be busy either fighting over whether to sit on the majority side or the minority side. You may be busy working on bills and laws and all of those things. How do you think your coming to Parliament, if you succeed, is going to change
the story of Lambussi?
Yes.
Okay, so I have, as I mentioned, some developmental agenda that I want to get a stakeholder buy-in. The first one, in the health sector, I have a health initiative that I want to bring in, and this health initiative has just 3 thematic areas. One is improving the health infrastructure. Thankfully, we have one of the Agenda 111 buildings going up in Lambussi.
What level has it reached?
I don't know the percentage. The government can tell us, but I do hope that they finish it before. We're just about 47 days to the election. I have my serious doubts. But Lambussi needs a district hospital. It is my hope that that can be completed and operationalized. There are several communities that do not have access to CHIPS compound, and we had started some constructions and didn't finish. So the health infrastructure is one. The human resource for health is critical for Lambussi, because currently there were just 2 doctors in Lambussi. One is gone to school, and the other one that I spoke to and managed to talk to, he was my regional secretary in the medical association when I was general secretary. I pleaded with him, and then he agreed to come and serve the people of Lambussi. He's the only one left now. He's shuttling between 2 hospitals. I mean, the polyclinic and the clinic where he was before.
Why do you have to be the one to appeal? What is the Ghana Health Service structure or system like, or Ministry of Health?
So it's a fundamental problem where we have skewed distribution of critical healthcare workers. I mean, if you go to a rural area like Lambussi, poor telephone network, poor housing, poor roads,
so
like I've described, nobody want to go there. So you need some additional incentive, and I have places where I propose that we will set up an allowance scheme. Thankfully, His Excellency has also added that to our manifesto, where he's going to give doctors 20% of their basic salary if they agree to serve in a place at Lambussi, a shorter period of service before they go for promotion or even scholarships to study. So with all of this package, we can attract more doctors to a place like Lambussi. And some initiatives taken by the Member of Parliament can. So for instance, I have proposed an award scheme. I've proposed some top-up of salary for critical people that we need, that would let them accept postings to come there. Accommodation is critical. We need to find accommodation for the people we need to come and serve us. So it's one of the initiatives I'm looking at in terms of health, and then improving access to health. Lambussi has 1 ambulance in the district hospital, and that ambulance for some time it was not working. You know what the problem was? Tires.
Tires had worn out.
Tires had worn out. And we had a district assembly, we have a member of parliament. It has to take a private individual, me, knowing the importance of this to the healthcare. I bought tires for this thing to get back onto the road. It has been decommissioned for some time. The doctor told me he had never been on leave for years and was about to go on leave. What that meant is that there was not going to be surgery in the whole district. So if a woman needed to deliver and this ambulance is not there, how do we get her to the next district in Nandom for the person to have surgery? So I saw it as an emergency and had to go and provide tires for this one so he can get back. So these are
But they gave you one ambulance, one constituency. Didn't you get your share?
That's the one I'm talking about.
So it broke down?
It broke down. There was no tires.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Since you mentioned that, fire service, do you have fire
that was even interesting. We had a fire service tender. The station was brought there during our administration, the previous NDC administration.
They're attributing everything to...
But that's a fact.
Are you sure?
You can go to Lambussi.
So you're saying that the past 8 years, nothing?
You find out. If you want, I'll tell you what is even more shocking. But this fire tender, right? This fire tender was broken down. The pump was not working. The battery was gone. And one of my very close friends had a fire outbreak in a community called Suke, a house number 22 household, got bent, and they were fetching water. They rushed to this fire tender. That's when I first realized that was a problem. They couldn't move. They went to Nandom, the next district, to get a fire tender. So I called people, what exactly is the problem? They said no batteries. They have written to the district assembly.
No battery for the fire tender.
I'm telling you. And the pump. I had to buy, because I said, no, we can't wait for a second of this to happen. I bought a battery for the fire tender. I bought a water pump so that they can do some adjustment so I can pump the water out of the machine further away to be able to quench fire. This is the state that we find ourselves. In the midst of all this, you are finding it very distressing and shocking what I'm telling you. We have a district chief executive who's been living in a guest house since his appointment till date.
As in small hotel, guest
yes.
house. Why? You don't have residency?
So that residency was completed and the man has never moved in. Completed
by who?
It was built, the former DCs used it. Mm-hmm. Our NDC DC used it. Mm-hmm. The former NPP DC used it. Mm-hmm. When this DC came, he asked that the whole building be renovated. They have done the complete renovation and he's not moving in.
What's your DC's name?
He's George Baluru.
Why is he not moving in?
You would have to ask him. He was giving some flimsy excuses. You can't have a district that is so deprived, struggling with funds, and we invest money into this building. If you won't use it, give it to doctors, give it to police people, give it to other health work.
So you are paying for a guest house for him to stay there?
I don't know how he's financing the stay there, but we have a completed building with security, everything that is not being occupied.
Interesting. Before we go, what is the voting trend in Lambusie like? Upper West generally does NDC. Lambusie currently is an MPP seat.
Yeah.
Is it the first time MPP is occupying it? Is it an NDC seat or an MPP seat based on the trends?
So based on the trend, I would say that it is NDC. Since the district, the constituency was established, the MPP has taken it on 2 occasions. Okay. And this is just the second one. Okay. The first time, there was some dynamics. That was when the district was created under the elsewhere Kufuor administration. Mm-hmm. And the people felt they had to show some appreciation and they voted for the MPP person then. The next time was this 2020 that we lost the seat to the MPP. And this time, the major, you will realize that there were some disaffection, there were a lot of internal issues in our party because His Excellency still won with over 70% of the votes.
But our candidate lost. So NDC took it 2 times, MPP took it 2 times?
No. Since 92, I'm telling
so
that
MPP taken it like 4 times.
Yeah, MPP has taken it only twice.
You are sure that you win?
I'm pretty confident, but my confidence relies in the people. If they give me the nod, I'll be very grateful.
You said that you don't have a radio station in your district. I was going to ask you to speak in Dagari and speak to the people and tell them that it is you and that they should vote for you. But now I'm not sure they will hear you.
Oh, hopefully they will follow.
But we are live on other stations in Nandom and Jirapa. So I'm sure they will listen from there. So
most likely.
30 seconds. Speak in Dagari.
So I'll speak in Sisali, I'll speak in Dagari. Okay, Dagari is my language, but these are the 2.
Oh, you have both Sisales and Dagari.
Yes. So, Lambusile Niziman and PC, Professor Beyo ni ere. And you can Zelona ni vote kwa His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. And me vote kume. Ati langtar amale ating akuni. Zelona in Zeleni. Ni ka bunizatina bote male kunia anakote. And Sisali Mboliwa Iwagbana Iakukere Insumiwa Iakukere Ivotipa His Excellency John Dramani Mahama Ivotipa Professor Titus K. Beyo Wisesipe NDC Sudi Echwalanga. Thank you.
Thank you. I wanted to respond, but of my polyglot, even though I'm a polyglot, that one I don't understand one word. Prof, thank you so much for joining us for Point Black.
Grateful.
That's Professor Titus Beyo. He's the NDC parliamentary candidate for Lambusie in the Upper West region. My name is Umaru Sandamadu. This has been Point Black, brought to you by Kivu Pepe Mokosho. Eyewitness News came to you from our studios in Accra on 97.3 Citi FM. My name is Umaru Sandamadu. I did this with Hawa Idrisu Mustafa. Production by Kobna Wilson, Beverly London, and Samiria. Technical support from Thomas Obindako, and the new media support from Emmanuel Owusu. We'll be back tomorrow at 17:30 GMT. Thank you for listening. Have a good night.